Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at the 2040 college football season.
Yeah, a really wild year.
Completely wild. I mean, it's a year that essentially took everything we thought we knew about building a championship program and just threw it entirely out the window.
Absolutely.
We've been reviewing a massive stack of sources for this one for you. We've got post-game tape, deep analytical breakdowns, direct interviews from players and coaches, and, of course, the historical records detailing what was just a truly chaotic year.
Right, and it's a lot of noise to sift through.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is simple. We are going to cut through all that noise of this monumental season, extract the key players, the shifting power dynamics, and those tactical storylines that define the year. We're going to figure out exactly what happened on the field and, why those shifts matter to you.
It really is a fascinating year to analyze. The 2040 season wasn't just entertaining. I mean, it was that, definitely. But it was a year that shattered traditional positional values. It completely redrew the sport's power map. We are talking about a season where the conventional wisdom about how you win, who wins the big individual awards, and how you architect a program was essentially flipped on its head.
Okay, let's unpack this by starting right at the very top. The national championship game.
Right.
We have the number 3 ranked Michigan State Spartans coming in with a 15-1 record, taking down the absolute Goliath of the sport, the number 1 Tennessee Volunteers, who were 14-2.
And it wasn't a defensive slugfest.
No, not at all. It wasn't just a narrow win. It was a 49-37 shootout.
What?
And the engine behind that massive upset was Michigan State's quarterback, Tyler Hook. When you look at the postgame breakdown, his performance is just staggering.
It's historic tape, really.
Hook threw for 402 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, maintained a 67% completion rate.
Wow.
And here's the crazy part. He averaged 14.9 yards per attempt.
That number is just absurd.
Right. Just think about that number for a second. Every single time he dropped back, he wasn't just moving the chains. He was practically taking half the field in 3 throws.
Exactly.
I have to read his quote from after the game. He said, "Everybody talked about Tennessee's run game and their defense. Nobody talked about us. Tonight, we made them talk."
It is a phenomenal quote, and those stats really highlight the tactical chess match that unfolded out there. Tennessee came into this game with a very specific identity,
They were bullies.
Complete bullies. They had this aggressive, stacked, run-stopping defensive front. They wanted to dominate the line of scrimmage with pure size and power.
Right.
But Michigan State's counter to that was brilliant. They didn't try to match power with power. They leaned heavily on vertical passing concepts.
Wait, if Tennessee is throwing a massive aggressive front at you, conventional wisdom says the quarterback is going to get 0 time in the pocket.
Usually, yes.
So how did Michigan State not just get completely overwhelmed on the offensive line?
Because they used the vertical passing game to manipulate the defense's geometry.
Okay, break that down.
By constantly attacking downfield, which, again, is reflected in that massive 14.9 yards per attempt. They forced Tennessee to drop their safeties deep to protect against the home run ball.
I see.
Yeah, and the moment those safeties backed off to respect the deep threat, it stretched the defense vertically. The intermediate routes just opened up all night long for Hook to pick them apart.
So they didn't even need to block for long.
Exactly. They didn't have to block those massive defensive linemen for 5 seconds. They just needed to get the ball out quickly into the massive voids the safeties left behind.
That makes a lot of sense. And the tape shows how that strategy really evolved, especially in the second half.
It did.
Michigan State didn't just throw deep. They controlled the tempo of the game. They ran nearly twice as many explosive plays as Tennessee. It completely flipped the momentum after halftime.
But there's another adjustment they made that's even more interesting.
Oh, the defensive shift. Yeah, this part of the defensive breakdown honestly confused me at first.
I'm not surprised.
In the second half, Michigan State actually shifted to a lighter defensive box. They literally took size off the field against a Tennessee team that wants to run the ball right down your throat. Shouldn't that have been a catastrophic mistake?
You would definitely think so. Conventionally, a lighter box, meaning fewer defenders near the line of scrimmage, makes you incredibly vulnerable to a downhill rushing attack.
Right.
But Michigan State recognized that if they stood toe-to-toe with Tennessee's massive offensive line, they would just lose the physical battle over 4 quarters.
So what did they do?
Instead of using mass, they used speed, They changed their blitz angles. They had their linebackers and safeties shoot the gaps before the larger Tennessee linemen could even get their hands on them.
Oh, that's smart.
They essentially blew up the run plays in the backfield by just being unpredictable and fast.
Yeah.
That stifled Tennessee's early rushing momentum. It started forcing the Volunteers into these long, predictable third down situations.
Which is exactly where a defense wants an opponent to be.
Precisely.
It was a masterclass in adapting on the fly. But man, it's also a heartbreaker for Tennessee. We have this quote from Tennessee's star running back, Jamal Lewis III.
Great player.
Incredible player. He said, "That one stings, but this program isn't going anywhere." And digging into the historical records, you realize he's totally right.
Oh, without a doubt.
The coaching matchup here is a heavyweight bout all on its own. Michigan State's head coach, Nathaniel Wright, actually won national titles previously at Miami.
Back in 2038 and 2035.
Right. Now he's built this Michigan State powerhouse to dethrone Tennessee's head coach, who goes by the moniker Sir Emperor.
Quite the name.
Yeah, but he earned it. Sir Emperor had just won the national title in 2039, 2037, and 2036.
Oh.
We're literally watching two titans of the sport trade blows over a decade.
It is a modern dynasty rivalry for the ages. You have Sir Emperor building an absolute fortress at Tennessee, and Nathaniel Wright proving that his system, his philosophy, which is all about fearless, vertical, adaptable football, can win championships at entirely different programs.
Different conferences, too.
Exactly. It takes a very special kind of leadership to build a title-winning culture in the ACC at Miami, leave, and then do the exact same thing in the Big Ten with Michigan State.
That level of offensive dominance actually perfectly tees up our next topic. When passing games become this explosive, the guys catching the ball start stealing the spotlight.
That's right.
Which brings us to the individual awards, specifically the Heisman Trophy race in 2040. The winner is Coastal Carolina's junior wide receiver, Ron Rockroos.
Rockroos.
Yes, and I love his attitude. His quote after winning is just perfect. He said, "Everybody thinks the Heisman has to be a quarterback. I just go make plays."
What's fascinating here is that Rockroos isn't an anomaly. He is the culmination of a massive historical trend that our analysis explicitly lays out. We are firmly in the wide receiver era of college football.
The data really backs that up.
It absolutely does. If you look at the recent Heisman winners, the pattern is undeniable. You have Rockroos in 2040. In 2039, it was Johnny Ware, a wide receiver from North Carolina.
Right.
In 2037, Willie Hoovel, a wide receiver from Tennessee. And in 2036, Moses Gore, a wide receiver from Georgia. Wide receivers are completely redefining this award.
An award that, for the better part of a century, was viewed almost exclusively as a prize for a quarterback or a running back.
Yeah, exactly.
But wide receivers have always been electric. We've always had game breakers. But they rarely won the Heisman before this era. Why this sudden monopoly?
It's a great question.
How has the game changed so much to allow a receiver to become the undisputed most valuable player on the field?
It really comes down to the evolution and sheer optimization of the modern spread offense. We aren't just talking about lining up 4 wide receivers and hoping one gets open anymore.
The schemes are way more complex now.
Much more complex. Offensive coordinators are using motion, stacked formations, and very sophisticated route combinations to mathematically isolate their best athlete in space.
Right.
The system elevates the wide receiver from just being a deep threat on the perimeter to being the absolute focal point of the entire offensive strategy.
They touch the ball in so many different ways now.
They do. And what's equally important is how this shift is democratizing the talent pool across the country.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the fact that a player from Coastal Carolina, a program that historically might have been viewed as a fun Cinderella story, can win the Heisman proves something huge.
That elite playoff-level talent is no longer hoarded by just 3 or 4 legacy schools.
Exactly. Coastal Carolina isn't a Cinderella. They are a national powerhouse operating a devastatingly efficient modern offense.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. When you pull up the All-American selections from the postseason tape, you get a crystal clear picture, not just of who the stars are right now, but who the next generation of superstars will be.
Yes, the All-American board is incredibly revealing this year.
You see the established elite talent we've been talking about. You've got Tennessee's junior running back Jamal Lewis III making first-team All-American.
Well-deserved.
You've got North Carolina's junior running back Keegan Willis up there, too, alongside our Heisman winner, Rockroos.
Those are the established names, the upperclassmen who have proven themselves over multiple seasons. But the most terrifying prospect for defensive coordinators across the country is sitting right at the top of that All-American list.
At the quarterback position.
Yes. We are talking about Arizona's true freshman quarterback, Antonio Boone.
A true freshman.
A true freshman. When you look at his raw scouting evaluations and his immediate production, he is an 83 overall dual-threat quarterback.
That rating is just insane for a freshman.
It is. To come into the highest level of college football as a true freshman, command an offense, and immediately earn first-team All-American honors is almost unheard of. It sends a very clear signal to the rest of the sport.
But break that down for a second for the listener. We hear the term dual threat thrown around a lot.
Sure.
What does a player like Boone actually do to a defensive game plan that makes him so impossible to stop as an 18-year-old?
He forces the defense to play math, and the defense always loses.
Playing math, I like that.
In a modern run-pass option, or RPO scheme, a traditional quarterback either hands the ball off or throws it. The defense knows they only have to tackle the running back or cover the receiver.
Right. It's a binary choice for the defense.
Exactly. But with a truly elite dual threat like Boone, the defense has to account for the reality that the quarterback might just keep the ball and run for 40 yards himself.
Because he has the speed to actually do it.
He does. That threat forces the linebackers to freeze for just a half second on every single play just to see what Boone is doing.
And a half second is a lifetime in this sport.
In modern college football, a half second of hesitation from a linebacker is all the time an elite offense needs to strike. It essentially means the defense has to account for all 11 offensive players on every snap. It is exhausting.
It totally changes the math. You literally have no margin for error on defense.
Not at all.
And while we are looking at these All-American lists and regional storylines, the tape also highlights a massive power shift happening in the Big 12.
Yes, the Big 12 storyline is totally different from the rest of the country. It's heavily centered around a return to dominance in the trenches.
Which is a stark departure from their historical reputation. We usually think of the Big 12 as a conference where everyone just throws the ball 60 times a game.
Not anymore. The standings show West Virginia and Oklahoma State battling at the top all season long. And West Virginia's success is built on a foundation of elite physical play.
Yeah, look at their first-team All-Americans. They have a junior tight end, Giovanni Kalu, and a junior center, James Lair.
It's pretty rare to see a team's entire identity anchored by a tight end and a center.
How does that actually translate to dominating a conference like the Big 12?
It means you are playing physical bully ball in a league built for speed. When your center is an All-American, you control the interior line of scrimmage, meaning you can establish the run game at will.
Right.
And when your tight end is an All-American, he acts as an extra dominant blocker in the run game.
Yeah.
But he's also a massive physical mismatch against smaller safeties in the passing game.
So they just punish the defense.
Exactly. West Virginia realized that the best way to beat these high-flying spread offenses was to keep them on the sideline. They methodically marched down the field and imposed their physical will. It's a brilliant counterculture blueprint for Big 12 dominance.
Speaking of blueprints, let's transition to the guys drawing them up on the sidelines. The Bear Bryant Coach of the Year race in 2040 is a fascinating snapshot of where the tactical side of the sport is heading.
It really is.
Despite Nathaniel Wright winning the national title with Michigan State, the voting sources actually show Houston's Mac Leftwich leading the pack at rank number 1.
Which is incredibly impressive.
Leftwich led the number 12 ranked Cougars to a 13-1 record running a veer and shoot offense.
The veer and shoot?
Yeah, and for those who might not be familiar, the veer and shoot is a wild system. It uses ultra-wide receiver splits, sometimes lining receivers up almost literally on the sideline to stretch the defense to its absolute breaking point horizontally.
It makes the field feel huge to the defense.
Huge. That spreading out creates massive interior running lanes, and once the defense creeps up to stop the run, you hit them with deep vertical shots. It is incredibly difficult to defend.
It is incredibly taxing on a defense. And the rest of the Coach of the Year list is just stacked with distinct tactical minds. You've got Liam Dillon at Utah, Justo Chastang at South Carolina, Matt Rule over at UConn, and of course, right at Michigan State.
So much coaching talent.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, looking at these coaches and their distinct offensive schemes reveals just how critical finding the right visionary has become.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to the most chaotic part of the 2040 season.
The massive off-season coaching carousel.
Oh, it was a total domino effect. Let's break down these staff moves, because they are going to reshape the landscape of the Big Ten and the Pac for years to come.
Let's do it. First, you have Wisconsin making a huge splash. They go out and hire Caesar Felix Rockwell away from the number 8 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys.
A massive hire.
Rockwell is universally regarded as a top-tier culture builder. He has A-plus prestige. He's one of the best motivational leaders in the sport today. He's coming in to install a true spread offense.
That is a massive get for Wisconsin, pulling an elite coach from a top 10 program.
It is, but the ripple effects of that move are equally massive. Because Wisconsin had an opening, it means they lost their previous coach, and the tape shows exactly where he went.
Right.
Oregon swooped in and poached Mark Young from the number 4 ranked Wisconsin Badgers.
Another A-plus prestige coach.
Exactly. Now, Mark Young has a different philosophy than Rockwell. He's known primarily as a master program builder, an architect who runs a deeply complex multiple offense scheme, shifting formations constantly to confuse defenses.
So you have elite, top-tier coaches jumping laterally between premier programs.
It's the equivalent of a CEO leaving Apple to go run Microsoft just for the tactical challenge of it. It's absolutely ruthless.
It emphasizes that securing top-tier coaching talent is just as competitive and just as cutthroat as recruiting 5-star players.
It's an arms race, but instead of just collecting athletes, these universities are collecting the brightest tactical minds in the sport.
And when you look at all of this together, the games, the players, the coaches, the 2040 season is just overwhelming in the best way possible.
It really is. Let's try to synthesize all of these major takeaways for you. First, we witnessed a true dynasty-toppling performance. Michigan State used a relentless vertical passing attack and brilliant defensive adjustments like tempo control and lighter boxes to take down the mighty Tennessee Volunteers and claim the national championship.
A legendary game.
Second, we saw the absolute takeover of the Heisman Trophy by wide receivers. Coastal Carolina's Rock Roos continued a multi-year trend that proves the modern spread offense has fundamentally changed who the most valuable players on the field are.
Absolutely.
And finally, we tracked a cutthroat coaching carousel featuring elite minds like Caesar Felix Rockwell and Mark Young swapping power conference jobs, guaranteeing that next year's landscape will be even more unpredictable.
So what does this all mean? How does a deep dive into the 2040 college football season connect back to you in your daily life?
I think the core lesson here is about the absolute necessity of evolution.
Yeah. Whether you are managing a business, leading a project, or just trying to stay ahead of the curve in your own career, the 2040 season proves that past dominance guarantees you absolutely nothing.
Look at Tennessee.
Exactly. Tennessee had a dynasty. They won titles in 36, 37, 39. They had historical pedigree, but Michigan State adapted.
They brought in tempo.
Right. They used a vertical passing attack to exploit defensive aggressiveness, and they shifted to lighter defensive boxes to neutralize Tennessee's size advantage. They didn't play Tennessee's game. They forced Tennessee to play theirs.
That is such a crucial point.
In any competitive environment, if you rely solely on what worked yesterday, you will be beaten by someone who has figured out the strategy for tomorrow. Adaptability isn't just a nice trait to have. It is the ultimate competitive advantage.
That is incredibly well said. The game never stops changing. And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Something to explore on your own that builds on all the tape and analysis we've covered today.
Let's hear it.
We are looking at a landscape where wide receivers are now routinely winning the Heisman over quarterbacks because the offensive systems are designed to highlight them perfectly in space. At the same time, we have players like Arizona's Antonio Boone, a true freshman quarterback, stepping onto the highest level of the sport and instantly dominating as a first-team All-American.
It's unprecedented.
It is.
Yeah.
If the coaching systems are this meticulously refined and the athletes arriving on campus are this immediately dominant, are we witnessing the end of traditional player development in college sports?
Oh, wow.
Have we moved past the era of redshirting a player and developing them slowly over 3 years and replaced it entirely with a system of plug-and-play elite athletes running highly optimized schemes from day one?
That is a massive question.
It's a wild thought, but looking at the reality of 2040, it might just be the new normal. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, and we will see you next time.